Higurashi, Tsumihoroboshi. Because these parts aren't as exciting. Well. You know. Things, kind of like that. Yeah. Woohoo. So. Okay, just give me a moment. Oh! Hold on. Ow, my face. Ouch. Ow. I don't know, guys. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. All right. So let's read Takano's stupid journal, scrapbooks. I love her. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes her theories kind of bore me. Okay. About homing ability and homesickness. I'm gonna read this in my regular voice. If you interpret homing ability in a broad sense, you can say most animals have a homing ability. It's the same with humans. We like to sleep, rest, and eat at the place where we feel comfortable, namely, our homes. Your home is to you what nests are to animals. Therefore, we can say that humans have a homing ability as well. First of all, why do animals need nests? The answer is the same as for humans. Sleeping, eating, and resting are the essential actions for survival. At the same time, those actions leave one defenseless as well. That is why you need a safe area where you can be defenseless. Everybody knows that having this safe area results in a high level of stress. When you move an animal to a new environment, it naturally becomes stressed. When you force a person to live in a foreign land where they aren't comfortable, they become greatly stressed as well. Everybody knows that this kind of stress is called homesickness. The Japanese don't know much about homesickness. We define it as mental weakness, and we neglected to treat it for a long period of time. However, homesickness has a very long history in Europe's Middle Ages. People believed that it wasn't a mental, but rather a physical disease. People also believe that out of everybody, the Swiss got the disease the most. The Swiss, you see, are known to be an ethnic group that worked away from home in that era. They lived far away from their homes. There were no telephones at that time, so they couldn't even hear their families' voices for ages and ages. It's easy to imagine the young Swiss workers got homesick while working in a strange land. These Swiss who got homesick wanted to go home, but they couldn't because of their jobs. The conflict made them weak physically and mentally. Some of them went crazy and tried to escape from their reality by doing something and running away or other things. The Swiss at the time were very superstitious. Many folks' remedies and occult-like treatments to prevent homesickness went around. Since going home was the only treatment, they must have called it a fatal disease. But it isn't really one, of course. Specifically homesickness is a sign of a human homing instinct. Your brain desires to go back to your safe area, namely your home. At first, your brain makes you remember the happy memories of your home, and it urges you to go home in a natural way. But when the reason stops you from achieving your desire, your brain starts to send unnatural signals to your body. As a result, your body gets weak, and that makes it more difficult for you to live in a strange land. In the end, you have to bend reason in order to achieve your desire to go home. So homesickness is born from our homing instincts. The stronger one homing instinct is, the stronger their homesickness. The strength of that homing instinct varies from individual to individual and depends on the environment in which those individuals live. When your home is safe and the environment you live in is dangerous, your homing instinct grows stronger. On the other hand, when the environment you live in is safer than your homing instinct becomes very weak. Safety isn't the only element that affects its strength. Cultural aspects affect it too. The many customs demanding families to return home for major events varies from each region, so your birthplace's culture also alters the strength of your homing instinct. Among these regions, the transcendents of Onifuchi village were believed to have an excessively strong homing instinct. The people of Onifuchi forbade their fellows from ever leaving. Many believe this was the effect of the elitism and sense of purity I already mentioned before. People today still strongly believe that Oyashiro puts his curse on you if you break this rule and abandon the village. This superstition can be interpreted as homesickness. If homesickness is directly proportional to one's homing instinct, then the exaggerated expression curse would signify the strength of that homesickness and also their homing instinct. I can assume they hated the outside world and created an insular society precisely because of their powerful homing ability. Unfortunately, there's no way to measure the strength of the homing ability the primitive people of Onigafuchi had. It was so strongly forbidden to leave the village that nobody left long enough to get homesick. However, after the Meiji era, things changed. The sacredness of Onigafuchi dwindled with the efforts of modernization. Many young people started longing for city life, and some people were forced to leave the village to get a job. As a result, villagers started venturing outside the village borders. That was when the transcendents of Onigafuchi realized how strong their homing ability was for the first time. The residents of Hinamizawa got extremely homesick. After a while, people started to call this homesickness the curse of Oyashiro. It became rumored that a person who left the village to get a job in a strange land was cursed, that he went crazy and died, and people who had left the village started coming back to either it or the nearby town. Their homesickness and homing ability were very strong because of their culture. It's reasonable to think that these were cultivated by the unique religion of Hinamizawa, namely the cult of Oyashiro. From the moment they are born, they were taught the rules of Oyashiro, and they must have felt guilty about leaving the village unconsciously. As a result, they considered their homesickness to be the curse of Oyashiro. I'm not sure if their homesickness got stronger because of the rules of Oyashiro, or if they made the rules of Oyashiro because their homesickness got stronger. I don't know which came first. I got tired of reading such small print and lay down on the floor on my back. The true identity of the curse of Oyashiro is homesickness. Miyo believed my story and that she let me read these scrapbooks. That's why I expected to find something interesting. But what it's saying is the answer to all this is homesickness, which many doctors told me so many times at counseling. I'm a little upset. The word homesickness can't explain the extraordinary experience I had. I saw Oyashiro come down to me from the bright light in the bathroom. I saw the dusky red maggots come out of my blood vessels. The scrapbook doesn't explain any of that. I don't understand how Miyo was going to explain the cloud of maggots. Maybe she didn't have any explanation of that to begin with. Was it just a delusion? I flipped through one of the scrapbooks Miyo let me borrow, looking for an explanation of the maggots I saw. Then I found it. It had the exact title I was looking for. About maggots and the curse of Oyashiro. In the Meiji era, a group of villagers were on their way back to Hinamizawa. They started discussing a rumor about a weird disease. They said the maggots started to crawl out of the wounds of the person who left Hinamizawa, and that the maggots ate the person's body from the inside. The Shinto priests of the Furude Shrine at the time explained the weird disease was a sign of the curse of Oyashiro. According to the tradition, the Shinto priests showed the villagers an ancient scroll, and he told them that the story of the maggots had been passed down through all the ages. Okay. This is what the scroll said. The world where demons come from must be interpreted as the land of death. And the demons in the land of death had to live their lives while being eaten by maggots. The villagers, who were those of the demon blood, had nothing to worry about as long as they lived under the protection of Oyashiro. But once they left Hinamizawa, abandoning that protection, the maggots that had been sleeping in the blood of the demons would start to awaken. They'd eat their bodies from the inside out. This maggot disease scared the villagers for a while, and they asked the shrine to provide them with protective talismans whenever they had to leave the village on business. This is interesting, as it's similar to the way homesickness was dealt with by the Swiss in the Middle Ages. After the war started, the delusion of the maggot disease faded away, but they remained accustomed to send talismans to families that lived far away from Hinamizawa. The talismans had the word maggot on them. But the most interesting part about all of this is the residents of Hinamizawa didn't know about the maggot disease until the rumors began. I thought that the unconscious worship made these people think of homesickness as a curse. So this case of the previously unknown maggot disease directly contradicted the research I had done so far. It's natural to think the group of people who were on their way back to the village were lost in a mass delusion because they strongly believed in the curse, and the Shinto priests took advantage of their state of panic to instill a deeper sense of faith in them. But I'm not fully convinced that it was merely a coincidence and this mass delusion matched with the story in the old picture scroll. I wonder if it's possible to see maggots in a wound without having the prerequisite knowledge when a person is cursed by Oyashiro. I wish Oyashiro could put this curse on somebody I could study. I'd love to see those maggots coming out of someone. I felt as if Miyo was here and making that request of me. I remember. When she gave me the scrapbook, she said that I might be the only one who could understand them. I felt good for just a moment, because I found out that the maggots weren't a delusion, but at the same time it destroyed my excuse that it was a delusion. The maggots weren't a delusion. They were there. All of a sudden my wrists, elbows, inner thighs, and neck started itching. I felt the urge to cut open a blood vessel, but I quietly held it down. I remember that Miyo looked very serious when I talked about the maggots. She must have thought I was creepy, but so did I. While I was crying because nobody believed me, a part of me didn't want to believe that my body was filled with those creepy things. I think part of me wanted to believe that it was a delusion. But now I know it wasn't. It wasn't a delusion. There are some people who had the same experience. Maggots in the demon's blood will awaken when you lose the protection of Oyashiro. In other words, they may not awaken under the protection of Oyashiro, but all the villagers still have the maggots in them without knowing it. People of the demon's blood are people who have the creepy maggots in their bodies. I tried not to jump to conclusions and flip the pages again. I unconsciously looked for something related to maggots. Okay, now here's the next part. About parasites and control of the host. The maggot disease made me think about something. Is it possible to say that the extremely strong homesickness of Hinamizawa was an infectious disease caused by some kind of parasite? I'm not trying to connect the maggots they saw with parasites. I'm trying to think about the possibility that their culture, their religion, might be associated with an infectious disease. Many infectious diseases are caused unintentionally by parasites. A parasite's host is literally its home. It wants to live within the host's body for as long as it can. The best way to do it is to coexist with the host without the host knowing. But some parasites try to control their hosts and use them for prosperity. For example, some parasites have the ability to control their hosts in order to force them to be eaten by a superior host. A typical example is Dicrocholanium dichrom. I'm sorry. I think the other name for it might be like, what's that fungus? Cordyceps? Or am I thinking of something else? Oh no. Okay, here. Maybe I think the example was also used in the opening of Chainsaw Man with Makima. I forget. Anyway, it uses snails or ants as intermediate hosts, and it forces them to move to the upper side of vegetation, so it's easier for the superior host to consume it. One parasite that controls more complicated animals is called Toxoplasma gondii. It uses mice as intermediate hosts, with superior hosts being cats. This parasite makes the mouse lose its fear of cats in order to increase its chance of getting eaten, so that the parasite can live within the cat instead. There are parasites that choose its hosts at random. The rabies virus is commonly known for that. It lives and breathes in the brain of a host, and it moves into the host's saliva through the salivary glands. It makes the host extremely aggressive in order to make it bite things randomly, so it can turn and move into other hosts through the saliva. That's what rabies does. Many parasites have a similar ability to control hosts to their benefit. The example I used above are about parasites that move in order for other hosts to prosper, but I think there must be some kind of parasite that controls its host in order to have a comfortable environment in which to live. I want to try to connect this theory to the abnormal homing ability and homesickness of the Onikafuchi resonance. Let's say there's some kind of parasite that exists in Hinamizawa and it lives in the villagers' bodies. For the parasite, Hinamizawa is the most comfortable environment to live in. So it gives them the host a strong homing ability in order to make them stay in Hinamizawa. Furthermore, it causes the host to get homesick whenever they ignore this homing ability and try to leave. Parasites need hosts in which to live. It's convenient for them if their host builds a community in the environment where it feels most comfortable. This theory makes it easier for me to explain the mysteries I had described earlier. The transcendents of Onigafuchi knew about the existence of the parasite. They knew that as hosts of the parasite, they couldn't live outside the village. That's why they created culture and rules that prohibited contact with the outside world. It also explains why people acted so abnormal during the dam conflict. So the demons that came out of the swamp in the legend of Oyashiro can be interpreted as the mass spread of the parasite. The story about the demons attacking the villagers must be a metaphor for the behavior of the infected villagers who were controlled by the parasite. This theory is too crazy. I should have just laughed about it, but I felt bad for Mio, so I decided not to. Hinamizawa is controlled by a parasite. You could use that theory to explain how the maggots came out of me. I felt a little dizzy. I was so confused, and a part of me thought it was ridiculous. Another part of me thought it was more convincing than any curse. But Mio was probably erased because she wrote these scrapbooks. If so, the contents of these scrapbooks must be something they can't ignore. They try to get rid of all her scrapbooks and consign them to oblivion. Why have they noticed some of her scrapbooks are missing? I felt a chill running through my spine. I have to keep it a secret that I have these scrapbooks. I have to try to understand more about their contents. I remember Mio told me about the three families are behind this series of mysterious deaths, and they're trying to resurrect the cult of Oyashiro. According to the theory I just read, the parasite must be trying to maintain the current environment of Hinamizawa. The healthiest environment for it is a completely closed village, just like the primitive Onigafuchi. It must be very comfortable for the parasite if no hosts go outside the village. They don't even like the villagers often have the village to go shopping. That means the parasite would try to goad the host into resurrecting the cult of Oyashiro. I remember there was an article in the scrapbook saying the demon's blood runs thickest in the three families. That would mean they would have a larger amount of the parasite in them than the other villagers, and that they're under its control. The three families seem to be planning to bring the village back to the Onigafuchi area. Reviving the Watanagashi festival after the dam conflict can be interpreted as their desire to revive the faith that started to fade away in the Meiji era. The three families, especially the Sonozaki family, have a great influence over the region and the public organizations. What's going on here? I thought this had to be a poorly written theory, but the pieces fit together, one after another. I never played a jigsaw puzzle as crazy as this. I felt my brain swirling due to this absurd theory. A part of me thought this was ridiculous. Another part of me thought I might be about to expose an unbelievable truth. When I tried to look into the center of it, I felt as if I was going to fall back into the whirlpool and drown. I'll have to devote myself to reading more seriously. There must be some truth to this. It caused misfortune and made my life miserable after I moved to Ibaraki. I might be able to find the truth, including the cause of my parents' divorce and my desperate behavior. Rena, please, just go get therapy instead. Okay, that didn't work, actually. Okay, maybe they weren't confident enough. Right then I heard a knock on the door, all of a sudden scaring me. I hid the scrapbooks under a cushion. Reina, you have a phone call. A phone call? This late? Who is it? It's from the bookstore. Did you order some books? They said they were Oishi from the Okinomiya bookstore. Uh-oh. Here comes Oishi, about to feed into more of, chaos and Higurashi. I mean, I think that should be noticeable by now, right? I opened the windows, but all they left in was the heat and the cries of the cicadas. It's too hot. It really is. It was break time between classes, but we couldn't really get any rest. Mio and I leaned on our desks exhausted by the heat. The younger kids sure are tough, considering how the heat wasn't bothering them at all. They were running around the classroom despite the temperature. Do schools in the cities have air conditioning in their classrooms? No, they don't. Only the teacher's office gets the air conditioning. Wow, that's better than nothing. If I were a student at a school like that, I'd attack the teachers and take over the office. You'd be the first student to ever do that. I didn't even have the energy to laugh. Mio and I stopped talking and used our notebooks to fan ourselves. I looked at the empty seat nearby. It was Rena's. Rena didn't come to school today. She called and told Chie she couldn't come because she's sick. Rena seems to be feeling down these days. Yeah, she probably got tired from the heat. Do you really think that's the reason? Yeah, why? I think it's the incident. Maybe. It's probably both that and the summer heat. I can't even imagine how distressing it was for her to commit a murder, dismember the bodies, and get caught by her friends. We took each other's hands at that place and we united. All of us believed we closed the case there and regained our peace. But was that as easy for Rena as it was for us? She must not have quite recovered yet. This old man thought she'd get over it if she played along with us. But I guess her pain ran deeper than I thought. What should we do to cheer her up? It's best to just leave her alone, I think. Hey, are you sure about that? We're her friends, you know? Well, it's like homesickness, you know? You get lonely and you want to call home just to hear your mom's voice, but that actually makes your homesickness worse. When you're feeling lonely, the best thing to do is to devote yourself to sports or something like that for a change. I want her to do club activities with us, but she doesn't want to. I don't know about her, but people usually have a desire to depend on somebody. You want to depend on somebody who supports you and sympathizes with you. Haven't you ever experienced that feeling when you can't stop depending on somebody when they try to cheer you up? Well, I don't know. Completely depending on someone means trying to earn even deeper sympathy from them. At that point, even though you're trying to comfort them, they just slip further and further into depression. By finding initial success through relying on somebody and receiving comfort, they grow addicted to indulging in misfortune. I think Rena knows that too, and that's why she wants to be alone right now. If she wanted to depend on us or get comfort from us, all she'd have to do is stay with us and cry all the time. So, how can we cheer her up? I think she'd appreciate it more if you try to help her forget her pain than if you try to cheer her up. Don't comfort her and don't cheer her up. There's nothing I can do, is there? That's a golden rule for psychologists, did you know? Mental trauma can only be healed by the person who has it. If someone else helps a person out of their mental trauma, even if they succeeded, that person wouldn't be completely healed. So all we can do now is wait until Rena heals on her own. I understand the idea, but I just don't like how cold that sounds. I clasped my hands behind the back of my head, looking at the ceiling. Neil laughed. Rena will be fine as long as she has somebody like you to worry about her. I'm sure she can pull herself together. So, all I need to do is be close to her? I don't know about that. There's something that you can do, Keiichi. Rika spoke up. I wonder how long she'd been listening to our conversation. What is it? You can listen to her when she wants to talk to somebody. Is that all? I just listen and I don't need to make her feel better? Kei-chan, people feel better just by talking to somebody. Sometimes all they need is somebody who does nothing but listen quietly. Just like me said, I think it's important for us as her friends to be there whenever she wants somebody to talk to. Miyu and Rika were absolutely right. I was going to pat Rena on her shoulder and tell her to cheer up when I saw her next, but now I know that would have just been one-sided on my part. Rena doesn't want to feel down herself. She wants to cheer up if at all possible. If I cheered her up irresponsibly, she'd be disappointed because she'd think I didn't understand her pain. You're right. I guess I wasn't even trying to understand how she felt. I wanted to cheer her up, but I now know that's just what I want to do and not what she wants me to do. Thanks, you two. I think I finally understand. On that day, I thought I cheered her up. I started to doubt if I'd reached her heart. I might have just been dragging her someplace I wanted her to go. I wasn't her side in the real sense of the term. All of a sudden, Rika patted my head. Don't worry. We all know that you're on her side. What? What? Did I say something out loud again? It did reach her heart. Kei-chan, you really did give her great strength on that day. Well, now that I think about it, what you said on that day was more than a little theatrical. We heard footsteps in the hallway and everybody started to go back to their desks. Take your seats, everyone. President, if you would. All rise! I do really like what Mion tells Keiichi here. And I do like how Keiichi also thinks about Rena, because sometimes I kind of think that way too, because sometimes you think that you want to help somebody, but you don't know how to help them or anything. And then you kind of think that, well, shit, everything I tried to do, maybe that was bad and all that stuff. I don't know. Anyway, We didn't have a club meeting that day because Rena wasn't around. That worked out for me because I had an errand to run. It wasn't a big errand. My mom wanted me to use her point card to get some detergent. I just didn't see the point of going all the way to the store just to get detergent, but my mom told me to go because she's busy helping my dad with his work. I started walking toward the shopping center. I noticed somebody was watching me hiding behind a distant tree. I wonder who would do such a mischievous thing, and I stared at them to find out who it was, at which point they emerged. Oh, Rena! Are you feeling better now? I was about to say that, but I swallowed the words. Somehow, Rena looked very serious. What's going on? Shh! Rena put her index finger to her lips, told me to be quiet, and looked around carefully and beckoned for me to come over. I had no idea what was going on, but I followed her instructions and shut my mouth and ran to her. Rena gestured for me to squat down and hide in the shadow of the bush. I didn't know why I had to do that, but I could ask her the question later. I just followed her orders for now. Rena looked like she was making sure no one was following her. If it was Mio, she'd do something like this just to fool me as a joke. But I know Rena doesn't do things like this for fun. I had no idea what kind of situation I'd gotten myself into. I could just feel how tense it was, and I made myself as small as I could. Good. It's okay now. I'm sorry. The tone of her voice made me relax a little. What's going on? I think someone has been following me. What? Who would follow her? When I thought about it, I realized how stupid the question was. Is it the police? Mamiya Rina and Tepe Hojo, two people disappeared. Even though they were awful human beings the police had to investigate, they found out they'd gone missing. It probably wouldn't be difficult to find out that Rina had often been to Rena's house. But it should be okay. As long as they don't find those bags, it should be okay. I don't know if it's the police or not, but I feel like someone has been watching me since the night of Watanagashi. What do you mean? Once I asked that question, Rena stared directly at me with a blank expression. Her eyes looked as though they were evaluating me. She stared at me as if she was assessing whether I was worth talking to about something very important. Rena squeezed her own wrist tightly and started talking in a whisper. I can tell you what's going on, but can you keep it a secret? Yeah, of course I can. If you want me to keep it secret, I won't tell anybody. Okay, I trust you. She smiled and looked around one more time. They might be looking for MIYO'S scrapbooks. MIYO? Oh, the nurse Takano? What about her scrapbooks? The police are keeping the investigation under wraps, so I'm sure you don't know. MIYO Takano was murdered. What? When? She told me to be quiet again. I lowered my voice and let her continue. On the night of Watanagashi, we met MIYO and Tomitake, didn't we? We were attacked right after that. Tomitake was cursed by Oyashiro. Okay, she's telling him and I'm bored. I know, that's because the police haven't disclosed their investigation. These cases make it the 5th of the series of mysterious deaths, so the police have decided not to go public yet. I see. I understand why the police are keeping quiet about it, but then, where'd you hear this? Can you keep it a secret? I've been in contact with Uishi. He's a detective from the Okinomiya Police Department. He told me about the case. Why did he tell you? I don't know. He said he told me because he could trust me. I was dumbfounded to hear all of this, but I knew she wasn't lying. If it was Mio, she'd be sticking her tongue out by now, but Rena wouldn't make a joke out of something like this. I think the reason why Mio was murdered is because of her research. Do you know why she was doing ethnological research by studying the history of this village? I've heard something along those lines. Takano was interested in the occult and mysterious things. I remember Mio once told me that she was studying the village's legends of man-eating demons out of curiosity. I think she discovered a very important secret about this village through her studies, or maybe she wasn't even close to the truth, but they thought she was. Wait a second. What's the secret of the village you're talking about? I just read a few of her scrapbooks, but those were the ones she was handling with extra caution. So I think there are pretty important things written in them. I think I know about 80% of what Mio was trying to uncover, but if it's true, it's almost too crazy to believe. Right now, I'm trying to find out whether Mio's theory is right or not. So what is it? What's the secret of this village? What could be so important that you might get killed just by knowing about it? I gasped the moment those words left my mouth. If Rena told me, I might get killed too. I don't want to tell you yet,
but I promise I will once I verify things. Because it's really crazy. Too crazy to be true.
What do you mean you have to verify things?
For example, I myself serve as verification that the maggot disease can occur without any background knowledge, but there are a lot of things I still need to verify. They sound too crazy to be true, and I can hardly believe them if I don't verify that they are.
Maggots? I was totally lost now. I wanted to ask her some questions, but I decided not to cut in. It was so hot outside. But Rena held her arm as if she was cold. Rena, I'm always on your side. You can trust me.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
From her expression alone, I could tell she really meant it. I could also tell she was involved in something very big and that she felt lonely because she couldn't tell anybody else about it. I had to be on her side while she was going through a difficult time.
You shouldn't tell anybody that you met me here today. They might try to hurt you if you find out.
Okay. Is there anything I can do to help?
Not right now, but it's very reassuring that I can ask you for help when I need it. I'll depend on you someday.
Yeah, anytime.
Shh, a car's coming.
Rena pushed my head into the bush. I went along with it and crouched down even lower in the bushes. We stayed quiet for a while and I could hear a car coming closer. And after a while, a white van passed by. I was surprised at her hearing. She heard the car coming when it was still far off in the distance.
Did you see its license plate number?
What? No, I'm sorry. I didn't.
I couldn't either, but I think it's the same car I saw earlier.
Are they the ones following you?
I think so. It passed by me many times today on the street, where nobody usually drives. I hit every time, but it's strange.
Are they the ones? Are they the ones who killed Tomitake and Takano? Are they looking for the scrapbooks you have?
Most likely, yes.
I don't blame him for not being able to believe what's going on because this is really crazy. Takano uncovered something really significant through her studies. The people who want that information hidden found out about it and they killed her on the night of Watanagashi copying the Curse of Oyashiro. They're looking for the scrapbooks, the fruits of her research, and Rena has them. That's why they're trying to kill Rena? What about your house?
It's safe there. I hid the scrapbooks in my secret hideout at the garbage dump. I'm worried about my father, but he'll be fine because he doesn't really know anything. It's written on your face, Keiichi. It says I can't believe it because it sounds too crazy to be true. Am I right?
I wanted to deny it, but I felt bad to lie. I remained silent in the affirmative.
Well, that's a normal reaction. I couldn't believe any of it when I first read the scrapbook. I finally started seeing the connections after reading all of them.
I'm sorry. I do want to help you, but I just don't know how, and I don't see the whole picture of what's going on.
If I tell you, it might put you in danger.
You're already in danger, right? I don't mind. Don't worry about me.
Okay, I'll tell you then. It's probably the 3 families who killed Mio and Tomitake. To be more specific, if it's the Sonozaki family, Mi-chan's family.
Why?
You know about the series of mysterious deaths, right?
Of course. The traitors of the dam conflict die every year, right?
The series of mysterious deaths is like a resolution of the dam conflict. They're trying to end the dam conflict in a true sense of the term by erasing people who betrayed the village.
It does look like that in a way. Nobody really says it out loud, but everybody's suspicious that the Sonozaki family's behind it. That's what I've heard.
But if they really wanted to erase the traitors, they wouldn't have to do it on the night of Watanagashi. Why don't they kill them all instead of just killing them one by one using the curse and demoning them away every year? Wouldn't that make more sense?
I'd never heard the words demoning away before, but Rena clearly thought they might have some kind of creepy, significant meaning. I decided not to cut in.
That means they're using the series of mysterious deaths in order to resurrect the sacredness of the Watanagashi festival.
Oops, sorry. Step by step, they're reviving... Okay, let me try again. I know I made a something fell down. Can I try again? Oh my god. It's okay, it's okay. It's not that important. I don't really care much about these scenes in the sense. Let's try again.
That means they're using the series of mysterious deaths in order to resurrect the sacredness of the Watanagashi festival. Step by step, they're reviving the sacred nature of Onikabuchi that was lost in the Meiji era.
I messed up. Again. Can we try again? Okay.
That means they're using the series of mysterious deaths in order to resurrect the sacredness of the Watanagashi festival. Step by step, they're reviving the sacred nature of Onigafuchi that was lost in the Meiji era. Their goal is to revive the level of belief of Oyashiro that used to exist in the primitive times. Okay. Belief in Oyashiro? Are you talking about the Furude Shrine? Yes. Do you think people revere the Furude Shrine now? Other people respect the shrine, but that's it. Kids think of it as a place to play, and most of the villagers think it's a place to gather for local events. Its sacredness has been lost, but with the dam conflict, it started to revive, and they took it as a good opportunity to bring back the cult of Oyashiro. So you're saying that some fanatical Oyashiro worshippers are behind all this? That's what I'm saying. The cult of Oyashiro was managed by the three families to begin with. The three families passed down their ultimate goal of reviving the cult of Oyashiro down to the present generation. When you think about it, you'll understand why the three families took the initiative in uniting the villagers during the dam conflict, and why they set up the Onigafuchi Guardian's office in the Furude Shrine, citing Oyashiro, who was almost forgotten at the time. So the three families, the fanatical Oyashiro worshipper, orchestrated a series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa, but wait, why would they kill Takano? Because she discovered the most important secret of this village. The three families have been hiding it since the era of Onigafuchi. If that secret is revealed, the sacredness of Oyashiro will be lost. They found out that Miyo was getting close to the secret, and that's why they killed her. What's this important secret? I don't care if I put myself in danger. I need to know. I don't want to tell you yet. I don't want to tell you until I'm 100% sure about it. I'm pretty sure that right now you just laugh. Hey, do you think I'm that kind of guy? I just need a little more time. I can't accept the truth myself because it sounds so impossible. So I just need some time. Please. I understand. Don't tell anybody about what we talked about today. Not even Mi-chan, Rika, or Sadako. Okay. Well, you should go now. I'll take a look around for a while I go home. I can't be too careful anymore. Rena ducked down low in the bushes and moved away. I was left alone there. The cries of the cicadas surrounded me and made it seem as if I was alone there the whole time. I started walking, still dumbfounded. In the end, Rena didn't tell me the secret because she's afraid of putting me in danger, but she told me clearly that there are people who want to resurrect the cult of Oyashiro, and they're among the three families that control the entire village. They orchestrated the series of mysterious deaths for that purpose, and they killed Takano because she got too close to the secret they wanted to hide. Rena met Takano and happened to obtain the scrapbooks in which Takano wrote about her research. Rena still can't believe the secret written in the scrapbooks because it's just too crazy. Hey, come on, Rena. You're kidding me, right? It's like one of those comic book stories. A mysterious occult group is plotting a conspiracy? It's not funny, even if it's a joke. But Rena's right about one thing. Even if this is true, it's really hard to believe. I understand why Rena wanted to wait to tell me the secret. Maybe she was just fooled by Takano. But Takano was murdered for real. So, is it true that someone is following Rena looking for the scrapbooks? I remember Rena said that the white van was following her. You can see white vans anywhere. I bet there are a lot in this village alone. She might just be oversensitive to everything right now. Rena hasn't recovered from that shock since that day. That's probably why she got that idea into her head that the police or someone else is coming after her. I didn't cut in while she was talking. I think I did the right thing. If I had said that it was ridiculous or something to her face, Rena would have never trusted me again. At that point, however, I gasped. A white van was parked on the side of the street. I wasn't sure if it was the same car that had passed by earlier, since I didn't see the plate number, but the number of people in the car and the ambience of it was similar to the one earlier. And there's one thing that looked suspicious about it. There's no reason to park here. It was on a small road in the middle of the woods. There's nothing around here. No traffic lights, no vending machines, and no public phones. I probably wouldn't notice it under ordinary circumstances, but I felt something was wrong. And once I noticed how odd it was definitely suspicious. There were 4 men in work uniforms in a white van. The driver was smoking a cigarette, but the other men were sitting there doing nothing. If they wanted to take a break or have a smoke, they could have chosen a better place than here. It was possible they stopped because they had to go to the bathroom really badly, but it didn't seem that way either.
They didn't look as comfortable or relaxed like they would if they were taking a break. They looked as if they were waiting for something to happen. There was a deep tension in that car. Could they possibly be waiting for Rena? No way. I didn't see anybody walking around here. This road is a back road. Nobody really uses this road, let alone by car, but it's impossible. I felt bad for Rena to even think about it, but this must be something that she got into her head because she's feeling victimized or something. She must be imagining things because she's still nervous from when her friends caught her in the act of killing Rena and Teppei. Hey, young man. I heard somebody when they said that when I passed by the van. He couldn't mean me. He didn't even know who I was. So I assumed he was talking to one of the other people in the car. I pretended I didn't hear him and kept walking by, and then he said it again and honked the horn as well. Hey, young man, excuse me. Are you on the way home from school? He had a strong accent similar to that of the older villagers. He must live here, but I didn't know him. I could tell he didn't know me either because he didn't call me by name. Yes, I am. You've been walking on this road all the way from school, right? You turned the corner where the stationery store is, right? Yes, so? They were probably lost, I thought. This village has many small turns, and you can easily get lost when you try to take a shortcut, so they must have been waiting for somebody to ask for directions. But then he said something disturbing. Young man, you didn't see a girl on the way here. Huh? What? A girl with a white hat and white clothes, with a purple ribbon on it. Did you see her? They were definitely talking about Rena. No, I didn't. I wasn't ready to hear them ask that. Rather, I was scared. That's why my voice got all shaky. Up until that point, I couldn't believe Rena's story. I thought it was ridiculous. I actually laughed, if only to myself. That's why I wasn't ready at all. My heart was beating fast, and I was sweating all over. I immediately answered, no, I didn't, but it might have sounded like an obvious lie. The driver stared into my eyes. He looked like he was trying to figure out if I was lying or not, and my legs started to shake. I felt like a frog under the glare of a snake. I couldn't move a muscle for a while. I think the same went for those men, too. They were clearly a suspicious group, and they had asked a villager about a girl out of the blue. Anybody would get suspicious. And I was right. The man broke the ice and started making excuses before I even asked him why he wanted to know about the girl. Well, I was asking for no particular reason. We just passed by a girl earlier, but you're a boy, so we were just wondering. Oh, okay. Please forget it. Sorry for the trouble, young man. We're off. The man started the engine and drove away. After they left, I saw nothing. That's right, nothing. There's no reason why they had to park here, so... Are they really waiting for Rena? Alright, let's take a look at the next tip. Lunch takeout list 2. Furthermore, it's important that we closely monitor her father, since he has also suffered mental shock from the divorce and has also trying hard to take care of the patient. There's a strong possibility that he may have developed an induced delusional disorder. At the first step of mental care, one should listen to the patient's story carefully without denying it. That is the most basic of basics. However, when the patient and the listener are related, it's easy for the listener to become deeply influenced by the patient's delusions. Additionally, delusional parasitosis is widely known to make people highly impressionable, and influence sometimes can spread throughout a whole community. Therefore, even if several people claim to acquire a parasitic infection, it doesn't necessarily prove the existence of a parasite. Some of the phone calls to the healthcare centers for the extermination of pests are nothing but a mass delusion. Since the subject matter of the delusion in this case is extremely rabid, the patients might harm or even kill each other in abnormal ways, believing this to be the treatment for the disease. They might also give up hope and commit end themselves together in the worst case. This influential delusional disorder, or otherwise known as shared psychotic disorder, shows a particularly strong possibility of influencing close companions. Anyone who is going to contact the patients must be made to understand the patients are under medical treatment and must be warned not to be influenced by the patient's delusions. Individuals who are likely to be easily influenced are the patient's family members and people who deeply care about the patients, such as boyfriends or girlfriends. Ahem, Keiichi. I'm debating whether to continue reading or not today. Because I'm a little lazy. So, I think I will stop. We shall see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're done. It's not that bad because at least it wasn't like with just Takano or Rena or something like that. But okay, we're gonna stop tonight. See ya!